Welcome to Knife Chats. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Tang stamps are often placed on a knife by a manufacturer so you know who made the knife. As the Tang stamps will often change over time, they will also help you identify about when the knife was made. As a collector of Camillus knives, I'm very interested in their Tang stamps, and what I have done here is compiled a short video of the primary Tang stamps that Camillus has used on their knives since 1902. Hopefully this will become useful for collectors out there. With that said, let's get started. This is the Tang stamp that was used in 1902. It continued to be used at least until 1916 when the next Tang stamp comes out. The important thing to look for here is that Camillus is arched up here, and you've got the line, dot, line, and then Cutlery Company with a lowercase o and for the CO. And if you notice, there is a hyphen between New York. The block letter Tang stamp you see here began appearing in 1916. Notice Cutlery Company, CO with a capital O now, New hyphen York. And this Tang stamp would be used into the 1930s when it would be replaced by the famous four-line Tang stamp. Speaking of which, this is the four-line Tang stamp. Notice Camillus Cutlery Co. with a period, Camillus, comma, N dot, Y dot, USA, all with periods also. And this is the four-liner that they're always talking about. Began in the mid-1930s, ran through World War II, ceased being used supposedly in 1946. However, in 1945, when World War II ended, numerous military contracts were canceled by Camillus, which meant they had an overstock of these former blades that had the four-line Tang stamp. And these blades would continue to be used on knives made after World War II, possibly as late as 1949. So after World War II, Camillus decided to come out with a fresh new Tang stamp, and in this case it's just a three-line Tang stamp, Camillus, New York, USA. There's no punctuation marks, but if you notice, there is a short line that runs between the A and the U under Camillus. So it's basically under the middle four letters MILL. And because of that, this Tang stamp is sometimes referred to as the short line Tang stamp. It was used from 1946 into the 1950s, possibly as late as 1956, but it does have overlap with the four-line Tang stamps and also the next Tang stamp you'll see. In the 1950s, you also get this one showing up, just Camillus, New York, USA. And that would be used throughout the 1950s and possibly into the 1960s. The Camillus with the line here, it starts being used in the 1960s, possibly as early as 59 or so, and continues to be used into the 1976 when Camillus decided to change it up again. Notice here that it's Camillus, New York, USA without periods. In the 1970s, and near the end of the 1970s and into the 1980s, possibly all the way through the 1980s to 1989, you have Camillus at the slant or italicized, and now you have the periods between the USA. And this would be running until 1989 or so when a new Tang stamp would come out, but obviously that means they could have still been showing up in 1990, 1991 or so. And this is the Tang stamp that was introduced in 1989 and continued use until Camillus closed in 2007. And that is the double line Camillus with the periods between the USA. So hopefully that will help you in dating your Camillus knife if you happen to come across one. and I hope you find this beneficial. I will try and do other knife Tang stamps in the future. But as a collector of Camillus knives, I thought I would do this one first. As always, thanks for dropping by, and remember, you're only as sharp as your knife.